This is your Unit 4, Week 6, Part 2 of your assessment. And the comprehension skill we've been working on is setting. Remember, setting is where the story takes place. So I'm going to read you a story called Apple Juice Tea, and I want you to have your listening ears on so you know the setting of the story. Polly has a mama, a daddy, and a gran. Polly's Gran lives far away. Now she is coming to visit. You were a tiny baby the last time you saw Gran, says Mama. Do you remember her? Polly sees Gran's pictures in the hallway every day. She thinks she remembers Gran a little bit. Gran comes on a big plane. Mama says, "It's Gran!" And Daddy says, "It's Gran!" But her face doesn't look like her picture in the hall. "I have a hug for you, Polly," says Gran. But Polly doesn't know Gran, and she does not want Gran to hug her. At home, Polly wants to be with Mama, but Mama's always talking to Gran. At the zoo, Gran says, "Will you show me the gorillas, Polly?" "I always see gorillas with Daddy," says Polly. At the park, Gran says, "Want a push on the swing, Polly?" "Mama always pushes me on the swing," says Polly. At bedtime, Daddy says, "Let Gran read you the Three Bears, Polly." "No," says Polly, "I don't want a story." She wishes it could be Polly and Mama and Daddy and that's all. But the next morning when Polly gets up, Gran is still there. Gran has made buttery warm biscuits. Polly is eating one when Mama says, "Polly, Daddy and I are going out tonight and Gran is going to babysit you." "But Ellie is my babysitter," says Polly. "I want Ellie to come." "Ellie is busy and Gran wants to help. I'm sure you'll have a good time," says Mama. "We could have a tea party tonight, Polly," says Gran. "No, we couldn't," says Polly. "Why not?" asks Mama. "Pretty Doll and Mr. Bun always spill their tea," says Polly. "How about if you and I have an apple juice tea and Mr. Bun and Pretty Doll have macaroni tea?" asks Gran. "Maybe," says Polly. After supper, it's time to hug Mama and Daddy goodbye. Polly holds on tight. Then she runs to her room and shuts the door. She doesn't want Gran to help her put on her pajamas. After a while, Gran peeks in. "I don't want a tea party," says Polly. "Okay," says Gran. "What do you want to do, Polly?" Polly looks out the window. It is starting to get dark. She hears crickets. "I want to take Pretty Doll and Mr. Bun for a walk," she says. She is sure Gran will say, "Not now, honey, it's bedtime," but Gran says, "Okay." "Really?" Polly can't believe it. "In my pajamas?" "Sure," says Gran. Polly gets her slippers and puts on Mr. Bun and Pretty Doll in her old stroller. "I'm going to the corner. I'll be back soon," she tells Gran. Polly starts walking down the sidewalk. Soon she comes to the bump in the cement where she tripped once and skinned her knee. She wants to show this to Gran. Polly calls to Gran, "You come too, okay?" Gran joins her. Polly shows Gran the sidewalk bump. She shows her the blackberry bushes and the neighbor's cat. It is a warm night. They walk up to the corner and back down, talking the whole time. Back on her doorstep, Polly has an idea. "Wait," she tells Gran. "I will go in first. Then you knock. You are my visitor." Polly goes inside and shuts the door. Soon there is a knock. "Who is it?" calls Polly. "It's Gran. I've come to visit you," Gran calls back. Polly opens the door. "Okay, come in. Would you like some tea?" Gran has a big smile. "Oh, yes, I would. Thank you," she says. They go into the kitchen. Polly gets a big tray and Gran puts apple juice cups and saucers on it. Polly pours dry macaroni into little cups for Mr. Bun and Pretty Doll. Gran starts to put the tray on the big table. "Yoo-hoo, Gran," says Polly. "I'm down here. Let's have some tea in my table house." So Gran and Polly have an apple juice tea party under the big table. Polly decides she likes the way Gran holds her cup and saucer. She tries to hold hers the same way. It is past Polly's bedtime when she crawls under the covers and listens to Gran read The Three Little Pigs. Gran has a funny squeaky pig voice and a deep growly wolf voice. Then Gran sings a lullaby that Polly has never heard before. It is a long one, a little sweet and a little sad. While Gran is singing, Polly falls asleep. The next morning, Gran is still there. Polly and Gran go to the store together to buy more apple juice.